Let's do question. Let's do. We are on. We are on 10.3. Okay, we are on 10.3. Let's do problem number 2B, because 2.8 you already got the solution, and I don't want to do it. Okay, let's do just 2B. Okay, the question was to find adjacency matrix for the following direct graph. Be careful here. This one is direct graph. Why is direct graph? Because you have an arrow. Okay, and here is indirect graph because you don't have no arrow to make it. Okay, let's do this one. Yeah, they ask us to find the matrix for this one. Let's do it here. 2B. Okay, ask us to find the matrix for this one. You have a V1, V2, 1, 2, 3, 4, V3, and V4. We have a V1, V2, V3, and V4. Okay. V1 at V1 we have a loop, then is 1. V1, V2, V1 and V2 we have no connection. We have no edge, is 0. V1, V3 we have two. We have one arrow go to the direction V1, V2. V1, V3 we have only one of them. Here is this one. Okay, then we have only one. Now V1, V4 we have no arrow going on that direction, is 0. V2, V1 is right here. V1 we don't have, is 0. V2 we don't have no loop, is 0. V2, V3 we have one direction. V2, V4 we don't have no arrow. Now V3 and V1 we have only one, is 1. V3, V2 we have no direction, and V3 we don't have no loop at the vertex. V3 is 0. V3, V4 we have 1. V4 we don't have no loop. No, V4, V1 there's no edge, is 0. V1, V2 no, V4, V2 there is no 0. And we have a V4, V3 we have only 1. And V4 we have only, there is no loop, is 0. Okay, that's how the matrix look like on B, on 2B is here. Okay, that's all we have to find for now. Okay, now let's do the next one. The next one is to find the direct graph that have the following adjacency matrix, the direct graph. We have to do only this one, 2B. We cannot do 2.8 because we have a solution in the back of the book. I can do it. Okay, it's not I can, but if just take the solution. I don't want to do something you got a solution on it. Okay, let's do 2B. Now on 2B is to find a graph, find a direct graph. Now a direct graph, remember a direct graph is when you have the arrow. Okay, now you have a V1, V2, V3 and V4. V1, V2, V3 and V4. Now at V1 and V1 we don't have nothing. Okay, you have V1 here. Now V1 and V2, we have only one arrow. Going in the direction of, the direction is this one, because it's direct graph. Be careful, it's direct graph. So you have to make sure to put the direction. Now V1, V3, we have nothing. V1, V4, nothing. And we have no connection. When I say nothing, just no connection. V2, V1, we have 2. Okay, V2 and V1, we have 2. Then it's just like this, is parallel. Going to that direction is parallel, just that direction. Okay, now V2, V1. Now V2, V2, no loop. V2, V3, we have 1. We can write down V3 here. We have only 1, that direction. V2, V3, 1. And V2, V4, 0. V3, V1. We have V3, V1. We have only 1. V3, V1. You go on that direction. V3, V1. Now V3, V2. Careful here. V3, V2. We have 2. That means we have a parallel. V3, V2, and it go on that direction. It will go on that direction. Okay, it will go on that direction. Now V3, V3, we have a loop. Okay, we have a loop. V3, V3, we have a loop. Now V3, V4, no connection. V4 until V3, we have only 1. V4 and V3, we have only 1. We have here V4 and we have V3 here, we have only 1. V4, V3, we go that way. And that's it. That's the graph for this one. That's the graph for 3B only. And the 3B, the graph is this one. Okay? Good. Let's do the next one. The next one, again, we have to do just 4B, because this one we cannot do it, they have a solution already. Let's do 4B only. Find the adjacent matrix for the following. Undirect, be careful, this one is undirect. Find the adjacent matrix. Okay, just let's find the matrix for this one. So what do we get? The matrix for this one, we won't do this one, okay? We have to focus only on this one. The matrix for this one, we have 8 is, the matrix for this one is V1, V1, we have 1. V1, V2, we have nothing. And is the 6 of them. It's too long. Okay, let me do it here. Okay, V1, V1, we have 0. V1, V2, V1, V2, we have no connection, 0. No, V1 and V1, we have 1 loop, is 1. V1, V2, 0. V1, V3, we have nothing, 0. V1, V4, we have where's V4 here, we have nothing. And V1, V5 is, there is no V5 here, that means there is no connection. We have a V1, V2, V3, V4, and that's it. Okay, we have only V4, and we can close here. Now V2, V1, V2 and V1, there is no connection, 0. V2 and V2 is 1 loop, is 1. And V2, V3, we have 1. And V2 and V4, we have 2. Be careful here. We have 2. Okay, there is no direction here. because it's indirect. It's indirect. There's no direction here. Now V2 and V3, V2 and V3 we have one. Now V3 and V4 we have two. Now V3 and V1 we have no connection. V3 and V2 we have one. V3 and V3 we have one loop, just one. Now V3 and V4 no connection. V4 and V1 no connection. V4 and V2 we have two, and V4 and V3 we have no, and V4 and V4 we have no loop. That's it. That's the matrix for this one. Okay, that's how you can do it. That's the matrix. Find the adjacent matrix for the following parentheses indirect graph. This is indirect graph because you don't have no arrow. Okay, so we have to determine the matrix. Good. Okay, let's do the next one. They ask you to find the following adjacent matrix. This is easy. Find the graph. Find the graph for this one. Do the same thing. Find a graph that have following adjacent matrix. Yeah, just find the graph. Just do the same thing like we did. Train yourself to do the B. Okay. Train yourself to do this one. I already done it. And this one, find the following. This one is easy. I know you know how to do it. I told you this one. It just if you have two vector, it's just a dot product. Let's call it this one V, and let's call it this one W. U dot W is the dot product. Okay, that's the way you have to think about it. So let's do this one very quick since we didn't done it yet. It's 4 times 1 plus 2 times -1 plus 7 times 0. Okay, and here you have 4, -2 is just 2. Yeah, just 2. And the next one, so when they ask you to find, okay, just let's do 1 or 2. Let's do 1. Let's do the B. So the question is, for each following product, found this one. Okay, found each of the product. So you have the two matrices and you take the product. So the product for this one is, you take this one times this one. You will have 2 times 1 plus 0 times 5 plus 1 times -2. That's the first one. The next one is this one. The next one is 2 times 3 plus 0 times -4 plus 2 times 1. Close it. And the next one is this one. It's this one times this one. You will have 0 times 1 and plus -1 times 5 and plus 0 times -2. And you take this one times this one, you have 0. You will have 0 times 3 plus -1 times -4 plus 0 times 2. Okay, here you will have a matrix. If you add this one, multiply them, you have 2 minus 2 is 0 here. And here you have 6 minus 2 is just 4. And here you will have 0, and here you have 0, and here you have -5. And here you have 0, and here you have, what's that? 0 and 4. -1, yes, 3 and 4. You have 4 here. That's it. That's the way you have to do it for 9b. Okay, that's it. And the next one, do the same thing, and you can find the square extra. If you have any problem, you can go over tomorrow. Okay, take care.